Alright, so we're continuing our discussion on Patanjali and five kleshas. Five kleshas mean afflictions. These are our mistakes that we make. And the job of spirituality is to make you realize that whatever we see and whatever we believe is not right. And our mind has been occupied with the material things and material objects and material situations, and we accept that as the final word. And the job of spirituality is to make you realize that's not the final frontier. Final frontier is somewhere else. And where we're making mistakes and how it is taking us away, more and more away from spirituality. So the job of spirituality is to make you realize that where you are is not your final destination. It is something else. And we're just getting wrong exits and getting away from our final destination. So five kleshas Patanjali describes as they are like onion layers. And once you understand the whole process, you can go deep into the root cause of our problems. And then once we realize the cause of our problems, then the effect of our problems, effect of our mistakes can be abolished. Because we are suffering only because of our mistakes. And our mistakes can be corrected only by ourselves. No one else can do it for us. So, Patanjali had a very, very clear thinking and very, very clear concepts about exactly how the mind is operating and how we have made the mistakes, how we have been going through multiple births again and again and again because of all these mistakes, and what are the ways out of it. He had put it down in a very, very short couple of sentences, but it will describe the whole process. So spirituality is very, very pregnant with words. Couple of words change the meaning completely. So it's not something you can just read and then walk away. It's something you need a lot of explanation, couple of words, but it may take 2-3 hours of discussions. And even after that, that's just the initial point. After that, you have to brood over it, you have to really understand it, and you have to use that knowledge in a practical settings, then only it makes sense. Otherwise, there's no value. So spirituality is an entirely different animal. So first klesha that Patanjali described is the abhinivesh. Abhinivesh is clinging to the life. That's our first mistake. That whenever we have problem, we look for a solution from the life, as if life is a giver of everything. So he says that when we look for solution from the life, that means we're setting our trend with the begging in the first place. First of all, we don't realize that we are some rats. We are kings. We are not supposed to beg. We are the product of Paramatma. We are Paramatma. And we forget that. And whatever we have, we are not happy with what we have, so we're looking for more and more and more. And we turn to life for those answers. So clinging to the life, because Rajneesh described this as a clinging to the life, meaning life itself, like nobody wants to die and all that, which is true. But for me, the life meaning is a total sansar. Like if I need money, I'm going to be working hard in the society, whatever, buy, borrow, steal, whatever, but the society will have to give me that. So for me, that is life. So clinging to the life and looking for a solution from the life is a mistake. So he says that, so now the next level of the layer of the kleshas is why are we clinging to the life? We are clinging to the life because we are miserable. We are not happy. If we were happy, if we had everything in life, if we had no complaints in life, we were totally at peace, why would we look for anything new anyway? If nothing was impressive to us, if somebody's BMW didn't really bother us, why would I have any problem? If I was happy with my Honda, why would I be looking for anything else anyway? But that's where the problem is. We are not happy with the current situation. That's why we're looking for something more and better in our mind, of course. So we cling to the life because of the miseries, right? And the miseries are described in two ways. So lust for life is created by rag and dvesh. So those are the two other layers. although they are two sides of the same coin, because it's a material object that we either we like or we hate. If we like, we're going to try to go after. If we hate, we're going to try to run away. So either way, we're giving the importance to that object. Now, good, bad, like, dislike, that's again creation of our mind. Has nothing to do with the reality. So rag and dvesh are the basis for our clinging to the life. If we did not have rag or dvesh, we would be happy. If we had a neutral feeling for any situation that comes in front of us, we won't have any problem. Whatever comes in life, we had a neutral feeling, then why would we try to run away from it? If we had a no immediate or urgent passion for that object, why would we try to run after it? So, to have a balanced state of mind is very important, so that we don't create rag as well as dvesh in our life, in our mind, right? But why don't we have that balanced state of mind? So that comes to the next layer. So the first was the lust for life. The lust for life, or clinging to the life, abhinivesh, is created by rag and dvesh. And then rag and dvesh are created by the next level, is our next mistake, is the asmita. Asmita means ahamness. Aham brahmasami. I am Brahma. So I amness is a mistake. That's called asmita. So asmi means I am. So that's our positive identification of our existence, right? So asmita means the ego. And the ego creates the likes and dislikes. You and I, there is not a whole lot of difference. You eat the same food as I do. We walk around. We basically same human beings. We have the same prana flowing through us. But there is a big difference when it comes to mind. Your likes and your dislikes are totally different than my likes and my dislikes. And my likes and dislikes have been created many, many births. And that's why we have vrittis and vasanas and things like that. The total calculation, total addition of our vasanas, vrittis and all that makes me different than you and than him. And we walk around. In spiritual language, that is our ego. Not the ego that we were talking about last time when Mukesh Bhai said that ego develops after a certain year, because child does not have any knowledge of who he is until he starts identifying himself with the mother, with the father, with this, with that and all that, and then ego starts. But that's ego is based on just the physical body. But when it comes to spirituality, physical body has no value. Physical body is only pertains to this life. But the spirituality transcends all the births, all the lives, multiple lives. You can be born as a merchant in this life, doctor in the next life. You could be man in this life, woman in the next life, whatever. But the ego, the spiritual ego, transcends everything. And that has nothing to do with the physical ego or the psychological ego that is defined by the psychologist or psychiatrist or anything, right? So, the feeling of ego transcends everything. So, first we had a clinging to the life. That was our first mistake. Second mistake was to have a rag and dvesh about the objects, because that was the cause of our clinging to the life, right? And rag and dvesh were created by our ego, that I amness. And I amness has to be separate than somebody else. So ego puts you in a spot where you consider yourself separate than everybody else. And that generates the duality. The duality is I am this and you are that. And that's where the struggle comes in. And that's where, but not realizing the mind which generates the ego, it actually creates the duality. Mind means duality. If duality does not exist, then mind cannot exist. So mind has been playing games with us for many lives. And that's why we have generated vrittis and vasanas and all this spiritual ego. And what is the cause of that? So the cause of clinging to the life was raga and dvesha. Cause of raga and dvesha was the existence of the ego. Now what is the reason for the ego is avidya. We don't know that this is false. And that's where the problem is. So avidya, and how do you take care of avidya? Good morning.
By getting knowledge.
By getting the knowledge. So that's why we are here, to get the proper knowledge of who we are and what are our potentials and where we are and what is our true form. Once we realize all these things, then there is no need for ego. Then we realize that ego itself has no value. Ego itself is fake. We are running after fake thing. The ego itself is a dead thing because there is nothing there. It's just an illusion created by our mind of the ego. So whole process can be scaled back little by little by little. All the layers you can peel layer by layer into the root cause of our problems. Once we realize that, then the solutions become a lot easier. And any activity you do, believe me, any activity you do where you are acting and not your consciousness, I'm talking about. So that's what we had discussion this morning. When you act as a parent and you try to control your child, you being a parent. But when you say that this has to be done because this is what I believe, this and that, and if you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble, that's setting down your ego. So then your mind is playing the role. You are not. So the true ego, when it is created, it creates the compartments and the duality starts. So the real knowledge, so any activity, yes?
Is it not that children are supposed to listen to their parents under...
Well, there's nothing like supposed to.
They have to obey. We are trying to do good for them.
Agree. That's what I'm saying. So when you're doing something out of your own being, like being a father, if you consider yourself as responsible for their well-being and you do, there is nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Agree.
But the children,
Agree. Yeah.
you know...
You can't be a passive observer and just let them go to hell.
Then that's not
gonna
ego to...
Agree.
You know.
Agree. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So when you are expressing yourself as what you are, nothing wrong with that. See, when the flower sends out the fragrance, it doesn't decide whether should I send out the fragrance or not. Should I send... It's just, it happens. So when you go to the state of knowledge, where you really realize yourself, you become a vehicle for the consciousness to express. Consciousness will express. Consciousness has to express because consciousness means Sat, Chit and Anand. Consciousness always creates. Whether you want it to not, it doesn't matter. You will just do it out of your what you are. Being a male, you will be expressing your maleness no matter what. So all these things which are there is going to happen. But when you want to do with your ideas and your egos, that's where the problems start.
Imposition.
Exactly. So when you go beyond that, that's where so there is a very subtle line. So when you start and when you have not reached to the state of vidya or the samadhi, it may sound kind of contradictory. The differences may sound such a big thing that, by not being this, I'm going to be doing this, and why is it not going to be like that? I'm going to be hurting this, and I have to do this. At that point, all this struggle will stay. But believe me, once you do the samadhi, once you go meditation and reach to samadhi, some of the things will just automatically happen, and you will not even know that you're doing it. Flower, just like the flower would not know that it's spreading the fragrance. It will just happen. Whether should you do it or not, what's going to happen, that again, your material mind. For example, I had a patient 2 days ago. Comes to me for a physical, can't lose weight. So I said, why? What's the problem? I said, do you watch your diet? He says, yeah, I watch my diet. I said, what do you eat for breakfast? He said, well, oatmeal and with skim milk and piece of fruit. And I said, how about lunch? I don't eat lunch. He said, how about dinner? Oh, doc, I cook my own dinner, so I'm very careful. But I can't lose weight. I said, what's the problem then? He said, well, I know my problem. I have to have 2-3 glasses of wine every day. Right? So I said, why do you have to? He says, well, because I have so much stress in life. So he's clinging to the life because he has stress. Raga and Dvesha. Now just analyze the whole situation, right? So now he's drinking because he has stress in his life. I said, what is the stress? Oh, my wife. That's how everybody starts, right? So my wife is this and my wife is that, and
Sounds
then
familiar.
right. And then on top of that, this politics is not good. the country is going, I know this is a good country, this and that, but it's going in a wrong direction. I'm really worried about this political situation here. I don't like this. And I don't know what is going to happen to this country. And I have to make sure this country stays in the right track, as if he's Obama, like that. So he says this country is going in the wrong directions and my grandchildren are going to suffer. So I have a lot of stress, Doc. To relieve that, I have to drink. Otherwise, I just cannot. This is my only pleasure, right? So, if you dissect the whole situation, he's clinging to the life in the form of wine grown by Wine Growers Association, making believe that it's a healthy thing to do this and that, but he knows at the same time it's a lot of calories. He's trying to suppress the stress. Now, suppress the stress is only because he has his own likes and dislikes. So I tried to talk to him. I said, well, there is one option. You can go see a psychologist and just go in for counseling and talk it out. But I said, there are other options. He said, what are the other options? He's a really hard-headed guy, you know. So I knew I was wasting my time. So I said, but we can look at it this way. I said, so I went with him layer by layer. I said, you're drinking because you have stress. He says, agreed. I said, why do you have stress? Because you have fixed set of ideas. How a wife should be, how grandchildren should be, how this country should be, how the world should be, how the China should behave, how the America should behave, what. You have long list of likes and dislikes. I said, that's why you're walking around with a fixed 12-inch ruler. If somebody is 13 inches, no good. Somebody is 11 inches, no good. So everybody has to fit to your ruler. And that's where your problem is. He says, yeah, Doc, but everybody has to have their opinions. I say, who says you have to? Right? So now you have raga and dvesha. So he has likes and dislikes. That's why he's suffering. Now, his likes and dislikes are because he has a self-ego, asmita. So asmita is defined by his likes, dislikes, vrittis and everything, right? So I said, so that's your problem, that's the ego. And he says, okay, Doc, what do I do about it? I said, you have to realize that you are not the body, not the mind. And that was becoming a little too much for him, overwhelming. Because
you need one more glass of wine to understand that.
Or maybe I needed to explain to him.
Probably yes.
So, as we were talking, I said, all right, listen, I have another solution. If you want me to, I can go further. He says, Doc, go ahead, as if he was doing me a favor.
Obliging you.
He was obliging me. So I said, all right, I'll do that. And I went through the whole scenario of explaining to him that if you look at an object, you are an observer of that object. You are the observer. This is being observed. And then I went through the whole discussion we have done in the past. That I look at the pan, you are not the pan. You can look at the body, so you are not the body. You can observe the moods of your mind. It's angry, greedy, happy, jealous, whatever. So you cannot be the mind either. So something is observing the...
Yeah, you got it, Oh my God.
It's gone. You can't get it. Yeah.
I'll catch it.
Just put it. Hold on.
ત્યાં જ રાખો.
Deepu will not let it go. Deepu!
આગળ.
Nah. Deepu na hathમાં નહીં So એક બાર and nobody should keep that door open. Door open હોય છે ગરાજમાંથી આવે છે. અલા ભાઈ એને સ્પિરિચ્યુઆલિટી શીખવા તો થોડી શ્રેણિક ભાઈ જોડેથી એ બિચારી ક્યુરિયસ છે એ ખબર છે તમારી જોડે ઇન્ડિયા જવા આવી હતી તમારી જોડે જવું તમારી બેગમાં